What's up, internet world, and welcome back to Accelerate. My name's Ian, and I'm usually the man behind the camera. But Mike's away in South America right now, so today we're bringing you my 3-year long-term review on this 2021 Mazda 3 Turbo. So some important information to know. Back in 2021 when I bought this vehicle, it was around $35,000 before taxes. And then with taxes, it ended up being about $40K, which at the time felt insane and still kind of feels insane, 40 grand for a Mazda 3. However, if you go on the website now for 2024 and you buy this exact car as spec'd, you're gonna hit $46,000 with taxes. So in 2021, our YouTube channel was growing really fast. It's probably the most growth we've ever seen. And partly that's because everyone was trapped in their houses watching YouTube and TV. However, at that time I was like, maybe if I just buy a new car, I can pay it off with the YouTube video we'll make. And that didn't happen. However, the video we shot did end up getting about 700,000 views on YouTube, which translated to about $5,000 in AdSense. Now, we made 2 more videos with it. We did a GTI race and we raced it against a K5 just for fun. And those earned about 2 grand combined. So in total, the cars made about $7,000 on YouTube. And since Mike and I are a 50-50 partnership here at Accelerate, this car made me about 3,500 bucks. So the YouTube videos basically just covered the taxes. Why did I pick the Mazda 3 Turbo? Well, initially it was because I just thought it looked sweet. Secondly, the interior space. This is a great interior. All right, let's take a look at the interior on my Mazda 3. And this was one of the big selling points. This is a fantastic interior. I really like it, and I'm still happy I chose red. I know when I first bought it, I was like, am I gonna get tired of this? No, it's like a subdued red. It's not too flashy or in your face. I know there's some cars we've driven on Accelerate, and they got this bright red interior, and it's kind of tacky. I like that this is pretty subdued. This interior is held up really nicely. I still think it looks modern, and they're still selling it the same way, so there you go. The only difference now is you've got a bit of a bigger screen. Obviously, I wish they didn't put piano black in the middle here because it's really bad looking now. It's pretty scratched up. At least in the dark, you don't really notice it. But on a bright sunny day, you're like, ugh. And then every bit of dust that gets on there, not a good idea. But even $200,000 Porsches have piano black down the middle. So it's not a Mazda thing. As you press around, it starts to squeak a little bit and you remember you're in an economy car. But aesthetically, this thing looks awesome, and I love the steering wheel. This is a great looking steering wheel. It feels great in your hands. I love that I have digital and analog gauges. And yes, the screen's a little small now, but funny enough, as someone who likes tech, I don't really care too much about the screen in a car. I just need physical buttons, which this has, which is great. All the HVAC controls are physical buttons, and I'm set. Now here are a couple gripes, and I don't really like complaining about this car because I feel really fortunate to actually have this vehicle. But if we have to say some negative things, it would be these seats. They look sweet, but after about 2 hours, you do start to feel some lower to mid back pain. And my wife has also mentioned this. That's why we take the Focus on road trips sometimes, just because the seats are comfier in it. Now, the only other complaint I really have is this center armrest. Now, it's sweet that it slides back and forward. However, when you have the seats down, which I do very often because I'm carrying a lot of camera gear, when you move it back to here, you can't get it to go up because it gets stuck on the seats back there. And then whatever you have in here, you just can't get at. So that's a bit of a design flaw. But speaking of inside the console, I have one of these. Now this is a adapter for wireless Apple CarPlay. So I bought this on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description below. And you basically just plug that in and your phone connects to it via Bluetooth. So that's pretty cool. And it just cleans up the interior, don't have any wires going on. So basically, other than slightly uncomfortable seats, this armrest, and maybe a few squeaks and rattles here and there, this has been a great interior and I still really like it. All right, so in terms of a 0 to 60 in this car, because we like to do that here at Accelerate, I did this about a month or two ago and I was able to get 5.58 seconds. Nice. When you do a 0 to 60 test in the Mazda 3 Turbo here, you quickly realize that it is geared for smoothness. It's not geared for being snappy or aggressive. It's not something like a Golf GTI or a Golf R. You're definitely going to have more fun and get more performance out of those vehicles than you would in this. This transmission is geared to be smooth and to be luxurious. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. I actually don't really notice the transmission in this vehicle. It's so smooth. And that was a big jump from the Ford Focus I used to drive, as it was kind of jerky, especially from first to second gear. And yeah, I really appreciate the smoothness. The best part of driving this car is taking it into corners and turns, which we actually don't have very much of here in this part of Ontario. But when you do find some, it is quite fun. So I'm at 45,000 kilometers in this Mazda 3 now after 3 years of ownership. Yeah, that's maybe not a whole lot, but at Accelerate we get 2 to 3 press cars a week, and I tend to drive those more so that we know what to talk about in the videos. So what am I averaging in terms of fuel economy? Well, I'm getting 9 liters per 100 kilometers, which is about 26 miles per gallon. And that's pretty good, especially for a car with a 2.5 liter engine. That's pretty big for a little car like this. Now, one cool thing with the Mazda 3 is that you can put regular fuel in it. However, if you want extra performance, you can put in 93 octane. But when you put 93 in, I do find the car runs a bit smoother. But really the performance bump isn't huge. I think it's like an extra 23 horsepower and 10 pound-feet of torque. I've been running it on 93 for the last 2 fill-ups just so that it would be peak performance for this review. However, it was like $76 to fill this with 93 octane from empty. So thank goodness it doesn't have to take 93, because in a Golf GTI or a Golf R, you do have to put premium fuel in it. I think just 91, but you should be running those cars on premium fuel. And funny enough, we did a drag race with this against a Golf GTI, and the Golf GTI didn't have premium fuel in it the first time we did it, and it was just it was so bogged down, like the performance was really hindered. And then we put the fuel in and it beat me almost every time after that. So I haven't really done anything to this car other than paint the brake calipers red and put these Vredestein Hypertrack all-season performance tires on. These are 225/45, so they're a little bit wider and taller than the stock tires that this car comes with. So if you're from North America, you've probably never heard of Vredestein tires before. They actually just recently started selling over here in North America, but they've been making tires for over 100 years in Europe. They are a Dutch tire brand, and I find these tires really grippy, and especially grippy in wet conditions. If you look up reviews of Vredestein tires online, you're gonna find a lot of positive reviews. As well, if you look online, you're gonna find a lot of complaints that the Mazda 3 stock tires just aren't big enough. And by upgrading, you will vastly improve the handling of the car. So I really haven't had any issues with this car other than a squirrel getting in here and making a nest with the insulation pad here. And then it also went down in there and ate a few wires, which ended up being about a $500 fix. Now they said they could replace this piece here for $250. So I was like, no way, just leave it. Nobody looks under here anyways. So that's the only thing that's really gone wrong with this car. And it wasn't its fault, it was this squirrel's fault. The biggest pet peeve with this car is this strange droning noise that it makes at about 120 kilometers an hour or 75 miles per hour. And I've read a lot of forums. It's not just the turbo that has this. It seems to be a Mazda 3 issue across the board. And apparently it comes from the rear differential, but I couldn't find a concrete reason why it happens. So here's the negative thing, and it's this noise that's about to start at 120 kilometers an hour. So here we go. All right, here I am on the highway now, and I'm doing about 120 kilometers an hour. And this ringing noise has started, and it happens between 120 and 125 for me. I've read online that it happens in different speeds for some other people. Kind of an annoying noise. I don't really know what to do about it, or if they'd even fix it at a dealership. If you know, comment below. So you might be looking at the sedan or the hatchback, and yes, the hatchback I think looks the best, but this is a really bad blind spot. So that's just one thing to consider if you're looking at both and you don't really care or need the hatchback space. This can be kind of annoying, but just check your mirrors. Now, I think Mazda could have done a little more to make the turbo stand out over the regular all-wheel drive. The aero kit probably should have been standard on this vehicle. The aero kit costs $3,000 now. So if you put that on a new Mazda 3 turbo as spec'd here, you're paying pretty much $50,000 for a Mazda 3. We live in crazy times right now. Now, really the only way you can differentiate this versus a just regular all-wheel drive is that this has a turbo badge and these pipes are ever so slightly bigger. All right, 3 years into ownership, how are we feeling? We're feeling good. I really have enjoyed the last 3 years with this car. I have really no interest in buying anything else at the moment. Now maybe the new Mazda 3 will drop next year and I'll be like, oh, this thing feels old. I want a new car, but really I don't think that'll happen. I would really like to keep this car for at least another 3 years. In conclusion, this car has been a great daily driver. It's quiet, it's comfortable for the most part, it's easy to live with, it has enough space for all my video gear, it has one of the highest safety ratings for this segment, and overall, it does everything pretty well. Merging onto the highway is incredibly easy, the lights are super bright at night so it's easy to see in the dark. It looks modern. The Bose sound system is actually really good and it was specifically designed for this vehicle. Now maybe I'm in a unique experience in that Mike and I get to test drive new cars often. However, the way technology has been going in cars where everything is done through a display screen, I'm really in no rush to lose my physical buttons. Value-wise, I actually have this car quoted just for fun and it seems to be worth around $28,000 Canadian with the mileage it has on it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this 3-year long-term review on the Mazda 3. I'm not the usual person on camera here at Accelerate. I'm typically behind the camera, so this is kind of new for me, but we're trying new things. If you have any questions that I didn't answer in this video, please just drop a comment below and I will happily answer it. So from all of us here at Accelerate, we'll catch you on the next one.